Oh my God. What is going on here? It's like catching like a dodo bird in the wild. You might catch me live on stream, you might not. I don't even know. I mean, these days I'm catching like, 24 people at a time, so not like I'm high rate. But what's up, Zod? Overtime conscious. Hey, so sus. So sus. The cause of all problems. The cause of all problems. So yeah, Sunday night. God, Sunday night. Sunday night. Look at that. Look at this guy. Some major support over here from this gentleman, Charlie. Boom. Look at that. You've been subbed. I mean, wait. Yeah. Member. He's been a member for 2 months. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Zod Rider with the double thumbs up. Bo knows. Oh my God, Bo, it feels like forever since I've seen you in chat. It feels like forever since I've seen all of you in chat, to be honest. But thank you again, Charlie. Much love to you. Yeah, it feels like forever. It's crazy. It's crazy. I was thinking, I've been thinking about all these things, like while I'm working on different projects and doing stuff, and excuse me, and my schedule's just been like really chaotic, and so I don't go live really very often, and I'm not on game time anymore. So yeah, I mean, like, just add that to the not going live very often thing, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of like late night streams because you have the freedom of, like, it's late and it doesn't really matter like what you're doing. You can just go for as long as you want. But I've been thinking about like all these little projects that I'm doing and all this like gaming arcade related stuff, and just thought it would be fun to like catch up a little bit, if I could get anybody in here to catch up with, which it's nice. I've got like a little, some peeps in here, which is cool. Nice to have you guys. So I guess one of the things that I've really been thinking about, and I know I haven't talked about Arcade 1UP in a long time, but this is like a really interesting subject to me, is, and this is part of my confession, like, what is going on here? How can I be talking about Arcade 1UP? Oh my God. But I'm really interested in this whole subject because, like, obviously everybody who, is in that space, I'm sure, has been following along with this whole, corporate shakeup thing. And I've seen a lot of interesting things, and like kind of looked at like what people are saying in different spaces, like outside of YouTube. And it's been interesting, to say the least. But one of the things that I find the most interesting is, like, there's a couple different arguments about price points and about the way that the company is run and how it's going to be run now that, Scott Backrack's not there, John D's not there. And in my mind, I'm thinking John D was the reason why that company got a lot of good licenses, and why certain things, not everything, but certain things were able to be accomplished. And so I've really been like thinking about that, and I'm like, I don't know what people are expecting, but I do know that the company mentioned profitability moving forward. So I found that interesting, since that was never I don't feel like that was something that was like heavily discussed ever. But what I find really hard to believe is this ideology that people think that Arcade One Up is going to sink or swim because of the three-quarter space community, like on social media, YouTube, and all that. And I commented on a Reddit post about this, but it really was making me think about what I was saying. And basically, I was saying on this post, like, look, here's the thing. Arcade One Up was charging $6.99 for Terminator 2 when it came out, and nobody was really saying anything. Ridge Racer was $6.99. Nobody was really saying anything. I mean, from what I remember, people were just happy to get those cabs, you know, and that was kind of like around the time that things were starting to like get shook up in the community, so to speak. I was like, nobody really cared. You know, they went on sale for like half off and people got pissed about that. And some people were having problems with their hardware, or whatever. But it was pretty like normal, right? Like all the things that were going on. And people were paying for them. All right. So now fast forward to Time Crisis, which is a $740 cab shipped with tax included, which means it's basically a $6.99 cab, right? A $6.99 shooter cab with Sinden technology. All right. Doesn't say Sinden hardware. It does say Sinden technology. So I don't know. But I guess my point is just that, which to me is probably a nicer build quality than T2 was. And so well, anyways, I'll get to that, Bo. It's a good bullet for conversation. So anyways, it's the same price as T2, right? But now everybody's like, good God, how dare they? Like, I will never pay that much for a cab. Oh my geez. Can you guys believe this? This is crazy. But the thing is, people were paying that for those cabs. Now look, if somebody can, please God, because I really want to see this, if somebody can build a shooter cabinet that is 3/4 scale for less than $700, I really want to see it. I really want to see that. I want to see somebody build a 3/4 scale arcade cabinet, dual shooter, with printed on side art, 2 guns, and good hardware on it for less than $700. I don't think anybody can do it. Unless you're like a whiz and you just have access to all this stuff that's not costing you anything, then obviously. But I mean, like, I want to see somebody go out, get the supplies, and build it. That's what I'm talking about. And so anyways, I don't know. I'm just thinking about all this stuff, and I'm thinking, like, what? So to me, it doesn't seem like anything has really changed. I mean, Fast and the Furious came out. That was $100 less than Ridge Racer. So, but people were freaking out about that, you know, for multiple various reasons. But the point is, it was $100 less than Ridge Racer. So now you're seeing them, you know, do these releases that are like $4.99 or whatever for the deluxe cabs, and it's just like, it's like nobody can make up their mind. Like it's no matter which direction they're going. You know, this community, the 3/4 scale community, is pissed off about it. So it's interesting to like. It's been very interesting to like watch kind of like the evolution of that. And I'm gonna read this comment right now. So Zod Rider says, "This is probably why Tastemakers is doing claw machines and Casinocade now. Clearly, there is a business model pivot of sorts happening now. Without John D, I think that cancels out Capcom at least. I think they still have licenses from Capcom that go for a while. And what's interesting about Capcom is I thought about this too. I'm like, that seems like an easy license to acquire. Like, think about how many people, how many different companies, excuse me, have used Capcom licenses commercially. Like, so many. So many. And I'm not just talking consoles, I'm talking toys, all this other stuff. So, dude, is my mouse button seriously jacked up right now? Oh, it is showing up on there. Okay. Well, anyways, okay, let me see. Mr. Keebler says someone could build a cheaper shooter cab, but with cheaper guns and tons of time spent on labor, they won't figure into their opportunity cost. People rarely value their time. Yeah, and that's another thing too. I mean, like, all the licensing that goes into this for the artwork, the hardware, the software. I mean, it's crazy. I just think that there's like a lot of complexities that people overlook, and it's almost like it's like really impulsive, like the type of reaction that people have been having. And so I think, like, I've seen, basically, I'll circle back to what I was originally talking about, which is that people have this like expectation that like the company's going to change. I don't think it's going to change in a way that people want it to. Like, clearly all of their products get bought. Like, you can show me whatever thing that says, that talks about them taking out like another loan, but this is like Tastemakers is a big company, and regardless of what's going on with Bacharach and John D, like, I mean, they're out of the picture, and whatever's going on now, like acquisitions and loans and stuff like that, like, that is not a sign of a company that's going to fail. To me, it's a sign of a company that's going to succeed. Otherwise, why would anybody be investing in it? And I think that they're very good at keeping their minimum guarantees under wraps and all the other aspects of their, licensing and distribution deals under wraps. Like, I mean, if you're talking like numerically, like, you don't see that data just floating around. So, Zod says the retro shooter kit looks pretty dope. I'm thinking of getting that and adding it to one of my existing multicades. The guns are better quality than Time Crisis, allegedly. How much does the retro shooter kit cost? Mr. Keebler. Hi, Mr. Keebler. Godly, what's up? Yeah, license costs is another thing. People pirate or don't care about copyright and expect companies to do the same. Yeah, that's not how it works. It's just not how it works. So 205 on sale right now. Okay. So it's normally what, like 300, 250 something. But anyways, I mean, and I guess the whole thing is, what is up, Hollywood Polo? Long time no see. But I guess my whole thing is, though, I mean, you're still getting like one piece of machinery that looks a certain way, does a certain thing, plays a certain game, and there's nowhere else. And there's no one who's going to build those like that and sell them for those prices. Now, even if you want to say like, well, I'm just not paying that much for it, like, that's ridiculous. Okay, then don't wait until they go on sale, But I just think that I'm doing the forbidden topic, which is something that I normally don't talk about, but I'm talking about Arcade One Up. Normally it's about 300, says Zod, for the retro shooter kit. Okay, so 300. That's almost half the price of Time Crisis, which goes into an existing cab, which you either built and you paid for to build, or you bought a kit and paid for that. So I guess my point is just that, like, when I look at the overall big picture of what is going on, it's really hard to understand like a lot of the beef that people are having with like the pricing in the company, you know. And not to mention they make like the peasant version of the cabs, which are like the 299 MK Deluxe and Yoga Flame. And it's like, and I see people getting those on sale for like 199. And so I'm like, I don't get it. Like, what does the 3/4 scale community want? Like, dude, you're never gonna get 100% accuracy. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. My mind gets so blown away by what is going on with like the lack of, I think that there's like a lack of logic or reason, if you will. And Hollywood Polo says, what new games have you added to your Sheline Cade this week? Damage control. But yeah, it's just like, you know, where is the reason? Where is the logic? Where is the like analysis of all this stuff? I just don't feel like it makes sense. It's like everything seems like a knee-jerk reaction to what's happening. Nobody's taking like the big overarching picture and looking at like the lineage, the history of it. Like if you think about what people were getting in the beginning for 199 or 299, I mean, it was garbage compared to what they're doing now. Now, that's not to say that I don't know. I think that it can go, I mean, one of two ways, obviously. Either they're going to go and do better and have cooler games, or they're going to do really bad and have, you know, gimmicky stuff. But the thing is, a lot of people like that. A lot of people get excited about that. They're like, a claw machine, oh my God. And then you have the people who are like, God, claw machine, claw machine. And so it's like, I mean, you've got people on both ends of the spectrum, if you know what I'm saying. Let's see. All right, just chatter. Cool. But anyways, so I'm trying to figure it out. I will probably never figure it out. But this is my analysis of the company. Is like what they're charging makes sense to me. Because if you look at the historically what they've charged, what were they charging for riserless cabs in the beginning? $299, right? Or $199 if you caught them on sale. But it was like $299 for the Street Fighter cab. And you know, now they're charging $299 for a better looking Street Fighter cab that's riserless with a slip-in marquee that you can at least put a light behind and don't have to buy a completely separate piece for, and it comes with a molded coin door. So I'm like, I don't get it. Like, to me, everything has gotten better. Are some of the cabs like pricey? Yeah. Are there problems with them? Yep. Are there things that people don't like about them? Yeah. I mean, you know, Fast and Furious was a prime example. And the thing is, like, to me, that cab was fine. It just was like, okay, well, if you're going into this cab, like, expect that you're not getting everything that came with the coin-op version. If that's going to bother you, stay away from it. But I mean, like, other than that, it's like, what are you going to do about it? I mean, that's what's available. Like, you look at the licensing, you look at all these different aspects of it. Like, that's logical to me. That's reasonable. You know? So... sorry, Brooklyn, I didn't want to lose my thought, but what's up? And I don't know. I mean, you guys let me know. Like, tell me in the chat, like, what do you think? What do you think? Am I like way off base here? I'm just trying to be like realistic about this. I'm thinking like, you know, all the different stuff. And I hate Arcade1Up's marketing, by the way. Like, their marketing is like doo-doo. Doo-doo bung. But it's gotten slightly better. I mean, kind of, you know. I know that they have this thing coming up on Tuesday and they're supposed to talk about stuff and things. But it's just like, I don't know. I feel like Like, they make mistakes as a company. Yes, they've done things that are whack. I hate that new Atari thing. I'm not a big fan of the Casino-cade, but ironically, um, my significant other thought it was really cool, and I was like, well, it would be kind of unfair for me, who has, like, you know, a few of their machines, to like say no to that. But it's fun for her. So, but my point is, like, I'm not the biggest fan. I don't like their Atari thing. I know people have been like, ah, it's cool, whatever. I don't like it because I prefer, the form factors. So, like Big Blue, their '80s one. I think the most off form factor I have is a one party cade. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't understand that either. It's like I'm like, yeah. And the whole thing with John leaving, like, I don't know if this is. I'm sure this has been talked about. John leaving is not necessarily a good thing at all. Um, Mr. Keebler says he agrees with me on pricing. I think it makes sense, but people are getting priced out, so they're frustrated. Yeah, and that's another thing too. That's a great point, because if you can't afford it and that's why you're pissed because you've already bought 3 for $600, that's your fault. Sorry, like, that's the harsh reality of it. Like, if you can't afford it, that's not Arcade One Up's fault. They're just selling these things. Um, and I swear to God, like, I think people actually get pissed off about that. And it's like, well, what do you want? Like, the 4th cab for free? I mean, this is a company, Tastemakers. It's a big company, like, the parent company. And then, Arcade One Up has gotten pretty big. Like, it's global. They had like a thing on their Twitter about the Kardashians had like a bunch of Miss Pac-Man machines for Christmas or something. Like, ooh, look at us, we're selling machines to the Kardashians. But it's like, nobody cares. If you look at the mainstream media, they're basically glorified. Like, go Google Arcade One Up and see what comes up. Because if you look at any of the articles that are written about the company, generally speaking, on big websites, they praise what Arcade One Up is doing. And so when they're seen this way in the mainstream media, my point is that when you have a small community that is like hugely into 3/4 scale on YouTube or Reddit or wherever, what we say, they don't care. I think the only thing they care about, because I know that they see like stuff that goes on Reddit and YouTube, I think the only thing that they care about is how people critique their mistakes, because then, they can like add something else or try and at least attempt to do it differently or better. That's not to say that this is always like an ongoing thing with them. I'm just saying, like, they have the information there, and that's probably all they care about. Do they care whether a bunch of 40-year-old dudes and chicks are throwing fits over something that they don't like about the pricing or the software, whatever? No way. I have heard, what I have heard is rumors through mainly Reddit. They do have products for all price points, from collector cades, counter cades, party cades to XLs. This is true. But so Zod said, did you hear the rumors that John is starting his own home arcade company? And I have heard whispers of something like that. Or that there's some sort of project or something. But that's about it. I don't know anything. So, and that's interesting. Like, if he is, like, what are they going to do? And how are they going to outproduce Arcade One Up? Like, they're going to have to offer something else that's not already available on the market, right? I mean, that's what I would think. Or something comparable to what is on the market, which would mean a better product at the same price point or less. I mean, that's going to be interesting to see what happens, like what they do. I mean, Scott Bacharach has, like, you would think, a lot of connections, and John definitely has connections, especially with like licensing stuff. So you got to wonder, like, are they teaming up? Or, if that's true, or is it solely like a John thing? Either way, that's an interesting rumor. Capcom should just do their own cabinet, and same with Namco. They don't need Arcade 1-Up, probably not profitable enough for them. I don't know, because Arcade 1-Up already has the footprint. And I feel like if a company is doing a single, run of something or whatever, that's not profitable for them. But I feel like if there's a company that's already producing these things en masse, and all they have to do is give them, a minimum guarantee for licensing or whatever it's going to be, that is probably more profitable. I mean, like, they must have done some sort of risk assessment where they calculated that it makes more sense for them to do things this way. But if you think about all the licenses that Arcade 1-Up has, at least right now, it wouldn't make sense for other companies to just randomly, like, start doing their own, I guess. I don't know. That's just my opinion, Bo. John is a licensing guru. It could work. Could work. Capcom already did their own home arcade thing in Europe, and it isn't cheap. 19K Fox has one powering his custom AVP cab. Huh. I didn't know that was powered by one of their own things. Interesting. So, anyways, yeah. So I guess my overall, like, the big picture for me is just that when I'm looking at everything that's being said and going on, I'm like, I don't understand how people are justifying, like, their complaints. Like, I don't feel like there's anything backing these arguments. And again, like, if somebody has a better argument or can come back on what I'm saying, then, like, please feel free to let me know in the chat. But that's just my point of view. I mean, like, the pricing has been fairly consistent since they started making better cabs. Let's see, like, Miss Pac-Man, I think, was $399. $399 or $499. I can't remember when it first came out, the riser version, the blue pink one. And then Marvel vs. Capcom, wasn't that a $499 cab, or what? It was $499, right? I can't remember. But I feel like it's been pretty consistent. Ridge Racer came out $699, T2 $699. Bono's Tecmo says Capcom would be the closest, since they made that arcade stick and mini arcade unit with the 4 quarter scale screen. Are you talking about the Cute? Let's see. I think Fox just gutted the product. Interdasting. Carl O, what is up? Says, smash the like. I have to go to bed. We'll watch the replay. Right on, dude. Sleep well. MVC 1 cab was $499. Okay. So MVC 2 was effectively $599 with what were really essentially the upgrades. You get better hardware, which still technically wasn't enough because it doesn't run rollback. You get better hardware, or upgraded hardware, I should say. You get a slip-in marquee, better joysticks, and a molded coin door. Overall, just a better design, I guess. And I'm sure, again, like, licensing must have played a part, development, I don't know. But I mean, I still think, like MVC1 was a cool cab, but it was that older third gen style or third wave, whatever they call it. I still think that MVC2 was a way better cab overall for a lot of different reasons. So anyways, I mean, like, their pricing has been fairly consistent, I think. When you're looking at, especially like the licensing trail that goes back, you know, again, look, they had the shark fin Street Fighter 2, $300. Now you have the Yoga Flame, no riser, no lights, $299. But you can easily put a $10 LED strip behind that much nicer slip-in marquee and plug it into the USB port. Boom. So better hardware, better software, overall better design as far as usability goes. And then you're not paying, you know, $100 for a light up marquee and all this other stuff. They're going to do a 5-year celebration in a couple of days, so maybe we will get some answers. I don't know about that. Dude, oh my God, Cyrus. Fox got a custom arcade stick. Okay. Yeah, it's just, he's a really charismatic guy. Sometimes I feel like watching him is like, it's like very redundant. I'm like, okay, all right, we're not getting anything here. We're not really getting much. Let's move on. But again, every time there's like a live stream and stuff, it's like all the same. It's like hundreds of people saying, can we get Primal Rage? Can we get Street Fighter 3? Can we get the Alpha series? When's it coming out? Like, what are we gonna do? When are we gonna know? And I'm just like, God, why? You know, why? I even see comments on their Instagram, like their stuff will pop up in my feed, and I'll see comments saying like, fix MVC2 online play, and I'm like, you know, it's like one, maybe two comments, and then you look at the rest and it's like, heck yeah, like, when, like, this is awesome, like, can't wait to play this, or already got mine, or already pre-ordered mine. And I'm like, clearly the minority is like the people who, you know, have a problem with this company or whatever. You know, I don't know, man. And I have a super chat from Ryu Cat. Thank you very much. Oh, is that right? Oh, okay. That looks different. And it says, thank you. Seriously. Thank you. Evening, Jade and chat. Just checking out what's new with y'all. Hope I can get that retro shooting Pandora box soon. Guns up. Guns up. I haven't heard that in a long time. But thank you very much. Appreciate that super chat. Toxin, what is up? I haven't seen you in a while either. Bonos, he is just out of college. I don't even need to read the rest of that, because we all know. I feel like most of Arcade 1UP's marketing and important staff areas when it comes to arcade knowledge and stuff is just out of college. Because for the love of God, some of the things that they do and say are just like, bro, you've never seen the road to the 80s. Like, you don't know. Like, I guarantee you they don't know what a room that has arcade machines and smells like cigarette smoke and circuit boards. I guarantee you they've never smelled that. I mean, that gets burned into your head. Like, the minute you even catch a whiff of like cigarette smoke, you get like 4 or 5 different senses triggered, and you're like, oh, I remember this, and this. So I mean, they just, like, there's fundamental things that they don't even understand about arcades. And I think that that's where you have like these 40 to 50-year-old guys who get like really upset about stuff. Now, I understand from like a marketing point of view that like it is lame, dude, because like they literally have no idea about some things. And it's like, dude, get somebody on your marketing research team, whatever, who actually knows about these machines and games, like who knows about all of these games and who can easily do research or reach out and find out, about some sort of mechanic about this game or whatever. So it's like, yeah, I agree. Well, I don't think they need to stay off. I think they need to not do certain things. I think they need to show less face. I agree with that. But I think, like a normal social media stuff is totally normal for any company. Like, but yeah, I get what you're saying. So Don, what's up? Sig Smoke reminds me, I love how you called it Sig. Sig Smoke reminds me of the Candy Cab arcades in Tokyo. Yeah, definitely. I had a fairly brief talk with Cyrus at Evo, and hold on. And some of the things I was mentioning about arcade cabs made his eyes glaze over. He was very friendly, but there's just a knowledge gap. Exactly. It's very apparent to me. Like, he's just like a smiley face that shows up and, gets stuff from the other smiley face typewriter person who gave it to him. Fraz says, as someone who's bought and sold several 1-ups, they suck. Walk away and save more money for good product that's out there. I mean, some people share that sentiment. Like, there's a lot of people who share that sentiment in the home arcade space, I think, or 3/4 scale space. But it's like not everybody does. Like, I like the ones I have, and there are some I don't like. But again, it's like, if somebody else can show me where someone's doing it better or can make it for the same price or less better, then I'll be very impressed. Ryucat says, I remember the 80s arcade so well, my friend. Old enough to know. The designer carpeting, the coin exchange machine, the occasional couple necking in the far corner. Yeah, that was definitely a thing. Definitely. But just very dingy. Like, you don't really at all find places like that anymore where, like, you have everybody, kids, adults, teenagers. My only question is, why do they go after Zoomers? Yeah, I don't know. That, I mean, like, the marketing makes sense because they want a wider market, but like, to have those people working in the company, no, dude, you need balance. They should have both, like, Gen X or like the Zennials, I guess is what they're called, maybe. People who know what it's like and what they're talking about, they should have that working there too. I mean, you're not wrong, Eric. Absolutely, we hear you. Yeah, that's definitely, I feel like, said a lot, repeatedly, violently sometimes. And like his cheeks are like this. He's like, I mean, I don't even know how you could smile for that long and say those same words. But anyways, so yeah, it was just, I don't think that they have enough experience in the places where it matters most. I mean, but I think that my overall stance on the whole thing is, like, I don't get why it's so controversial. Like, that is it. It's as simple as that. I don't understand why it's so damn controversial. Is it simply because people don't want to keep paying those prices for cabs? That's not going to change. Like, they're not going to change the way that they sell these things. Like, they're going to charge those prices. And what's up, Mike? Sorry. What's up? And I'll get to this in just a second. Don, New Wave Toys just announced their cigarette dispenser power station. I saw that. But anyways, it's not going to change. Like, you can expect the same prices, I'm sure, with them moving forward, because that's pretty much like where they've been set at. Like, once we got past wave 3, it was expected that you were going to pay $4.99 to $6.99, and Ridge Racer kind of set that tone, or T2, whichever came first, set that tone. And those are like specialty controls, and I feel like that's been like consistent. Now, if people don't like it for the software, hardware, whatever, they think they're cheap, garbage, whatever, fine, cool. But it's not going to change anything. Like, they don't care what this space thinks. They don't care what enthusiasts think, other than getting that tidbit of knowledge from what they see, on Reddit or YouTube. I mean, that's my point of view on it. Oops. Let me read this. Okay. Mr. Keebler said, one-up is the only reason I bother with cabs. If I only had to choose real cabs, I would mostly focus on Mr. or quality emulation. Yeah. I mean, and owning real cabs is cool. Like, it's cool. But there's a lot more accessibility with one-ups for a lot of people. Like, especially for people who live in, smaller spaces. So, Spain, what's up? What is up? Let's see. Ryucat, Jade, let me ask you. Why do some arcade one-up cabs get full size while others get the tabletop style? I have little room, so a tabletop would be great. I mean, I don't know. The only ones that I'm thinking of that you're referring to would be like MK2 or, tabletop. I see what you mean, like countercades. Okay. I think they've made full styles of all their, like 3/4 scale of all their countercades, haven't they? Or am I way off on that one? Once they started tracking the port data, that was, once they started tracking the port data, that is when the community went to crap. Yeah, it's like obsessive, right? It's like obsessive. It's maybe it's concerning. Oh my God, Rhea. Hello. Yo, Charlie. I am interested in how AtGames does with their 4K premium line, mainly to see if people put their money where their mouth is. Yeah, right, because everybody's been saying, I'd pay more if it was blah, blah, which is funny because they're like, I'd pay more if somebody was, making something better. But the thing is, AtGames isn't making something that is even modeled after the original stuff. Or are they? Did I miss that? Because if they are, please let me know. But as far as I know, they're using their own designs and they're facilitating, these upgrades through hardware and software. So, yeah, I agree. And some of them have been like cool. I really don't like the price points. I think they were selling for like $220 for the countercades. And I was like, okay, we'll just wait, because they usually go on sale for like what, $150 or something like that, cheaper. And I'm like, yeah, I feel like that's more of like a decent price range. You can't even find like the Marvel superheroes ones, and the other thing is like, which I'm gonna say, like I was kind of like, I don't get it with their limited edition ones, like Clot. What's the other one that just came out for MVC2? I forget the branding on it, but they're limited edition cabs that they do that are like more expensive. I don't really agree with the price increase on those, but at the same time, it's like those are limited edition and they're collectible. Like, I don't care what anybody says about them. You can say it's the most garbage product on the planet. It does not change the fact that they're collectible. You know, stuff, Kith, thank you, Goofy. But it's collectible, right? I mean, those sold quick, and then of course you see them, you know, by the pallet on eBay or whatever. But the point still is they're collectible. People want them, and the amount of people in our small little space that are talking trash on them or are pissed because they're expensive, it doesn't matter. Other people want them. They want to collect them, and so my point is just that, like, this stuff becomes collectible whether people want to admit it or not. It does become collectible, like the Marvel Superheroes Anniversary Edition, the Countercade, all that stuff that you can't buy anymore anywhere except for on eBay where somebody has like leftovers of it. You're going to pay for it, you know? So there's also that aspect of it, the collector's aspect. And, you know, I get it. Like, they're never, ever, ever, ever going to be the original arcade machine, but they are still something unique that is only done by one company. And once they're done, they're gone. You know, original Marvel versus Capcom. People still are selling those for $500-$600. You see them going for used. So they're still collectible to people. And they're always going to have, you know, that kind of rising and falling collector's value, if you will. But some of the really rare ones that are harder to find, like, people will pay money for those. So, I mean, like, chat, am I wrong? Am I wrong about that? Do they not have value from a collector's point of view when we're talking, like, especially limited runs? I mean, if you guys disagree, please let me know, because I'm all about discussion. So that's just my point of view on it, though. Mr. Keebler says, I'm fine with the overpriced limited editions since they still sell out and makes them money to subsidize other cabs I want. See, that's business mindset right there. There you go. Toxin says, you're right. Yep, that's what they said about Vectrex, and that mofo is like 800 and up. Right. That's crazy. Especially with that little monitor. Can do like a vert. Kind of cool. But I mean, like, the Vectrex is kind of trash. Like, it's total trash, but it's nostalgic and collectible. Sorry, I mean, that's my opinion. I think it's kind of trash. It's just cool to look at from a collector's point of view and knowing what time frame it came from. Fighting games should get the biggest cost arcade version of Tekken 2 plus Virtua Fighter 2, Soul Edge, rare conversion pieces. Yeah, I mean, a lot of those, and then you're getting into like the higher level of hardware requirements for those to be able to run. Collector value. Give it about 5 years after 1UP is gone, and you'll see people paying a premium for popular. Yeah, I agree. Here's what I think too. I don't think they're ever gonna necessarily. I'm not saying it's not probable. I'm just saying I don't think they're ever gonna disappear. I think that they will just change forms. I think they'll transmute into something else. You know, if the cap thing doesn't keep going or doesn't work in the long run, I think they'll transmute into something else because they have an online platform and all this software stuff, you know, stuff that I've talked about like a ton in the past. So I think there's that. People collected pet rocks, so anything is collectible. There you go. I mean, like, you go look at collectors markets and you see crazy stuff. Pez. Freaking Pez dispensers. Like, dude, it's wild, you know? And I don't think people are thinking about that. I think they're thinking about right now. What am I getting right now? what is this company doing right now? Why are they not giving me what I want? You bastards. And there's like not enough logic in the community. And I think that's something that the community needs, is like logic and the ability to like analyze something and discuss it without losing their dang minds. Of course, that's definitely asking for too much, but I mean, I'm just trying to look at it from a realistic perspective here. So with all the changes that have happened, I don't see that changing anything, you know, as far as the way the company goes. The only thing I see that changing is there is a possibility that they might not be able to acquire certain licenses. When or how, I have no idea. But that is my best guess at what is going to change. You know, if they decide to start making or adding little quality fixes to some of the cabs, like, look, if they can put T-molding on Wheel of Fortune, then we know they can put T-molding on all their cabs, like real T-molding. That's something they need to do, because that in itself is a lot nicer than the little iron-on T-molding that they use. But there's little things that they could do and could have been doing that are a lot better. And also, Wheel of Fortune uses actual like buttons with a separate switch, and a lot of light up stuff. So, I mean, all that stuff is possible. A friend of mine collects rare pencils. There you go. Doggy chew toys using the leftover parts. They got me with the MVC2 limited stock lies. So here's what's interesting about that. I found out that it wasn't limited stock. They had a certain amount, and I don't know like exactly what was said about that. But what I found out, like the facts were, is that there was no limited stock. Like there was a certain amount made, and then when that went away, it did well enough that they actually produced more. And so that was my understanding of it. So whatever is on the market now is what they produce more of. I don't know if that's ongoing, if they're continuing to produce more of that or not. But I do know that they're going to, I don't know, they got to do something about MVC2 though, because like not having rollback online, like I feel like that's something that they're actually going to have to address. And whether they do it publicly or not, I don't really care, but they're going to have to address it for their customer base. When Arcade One Up announces the Data East Deluxe, you know they are desperate. Gmode will license to a soup kitchen. Licensee and also circuitry parts were in danger of losing contracts. Yeah. Limited FOMO. FOMO is collectible now with Arcade One Up. Data East collection. They said limited quantities, which doesn't mean limited time only. Just the first batch was limited. Word tricks. Yeah, totally. And, you know, who knows if they were like, all right, if it does well, then we can do another production run. Obviously, that's probably what it was. But, you know, it's like the devil's in the details, you know? The devil is in the details. So, I don't know, man. Like, I just think, like, people have developed, a lot of people in the 3/4 scale space have developed a hatred for the company. So, like, they just want to, you know, hate to hate or say things to hate. I don't even know what to say. Like, but look, if there's no logic and if there's no analysis involved in like the way that you're looking at how this company sells things, and you're not looking at the past and holding that up to what they're producing now and what they've sold for in the past, et cetera, and seeing that there's a pattern here. I mean, come on, fool me once, fool me twice, that whole thing. Shame on me. So damage control says modified to all hell. I still love my Street Fighter 2 Legacy cab. There you go. I actually liked the software in that thing. Let's see. Mr. Keebler says they won't address rollback more than John D already mentioned because there isn't anything they can do unless they do a new SKU PCB break. Right. But I think that, look, if they end up producing like a deluxe MVC2, not an XL, a deluxe, I would think it would make sense to get the upgraded hardware, because now that upgraded hardware is the same price as the old stuff they were using, maybe even less, from a production point of view, especially, to where there's no reason why they can't embroider that with the software, and then now they'll be able to run rollback. Like literally that's all they would have to do. So whatever, licensing loopholes or software loopholes they have to jump through to do that, it should not be difficult, since it's pretty much what they're using is, single board computers boards. Limited and finite. Yeah, there's a difference between limited and finite. So, Steve, what is up? Good evening, my friend. You guys, if you don't know Steve, he's the reason why I own a Blasteroids, an Atari Blasteroids 498 of 2000. So, Steve's my buddy. He's my pal. So yeah, it wouldn't make sense for them to, and of course, take that with a grain of salt, because we all know that they have done things in the past that don't exactly make sense, as far as their software and hardware go. It's a green cab with a car on it and steering wheel. Yeah. So anyways, but to me, from a business perspective, it would make sense if they're going to do another production run of that thing and put it in a deluxe cab to just upgrade the PCBA, excuse me. So let me see. Mike says, new MVC2 should have a new processor. The problem is it likely would not be cross-compatible with the old SKUs, so they do offer upgrades to all the original adapters. Likely not. I agree that they could offer upgrades. And by the way, a PCBA from Arcade 1UP is $50 plus shipping, so they're not expensive. But outside of that, I think I disagree with it not being cross-compatible, because if you look at the Yoga Flame, the Big Blue, those are different hardware. Even software might be a little bit different, but they are cross-play online. So I think that it would be cross-compatible. I think. So yeah. I don't know. It's just like the whole thing is just kind of mind-boggling to me when I lay it out in front of me and I see the way that everybody reacts to it. It's like, what do you expect? Is kind of where I'm at with it now, And if you hate their products or you hate the company, or you hate their prices because you've already bought 3 of them. I mean, I don't know. Ask yourself why you hate them, I guess. And if there's a reason for it, then just stay away from their stuff, I guess, would be the answer, would be the logical answer. Mr. Keebler says it's less about the different PCB and more than rollback would not mix with the delay based. But I do agree with y'all that offering PCB as an upgrade would work for sure. That's true. That's true. That's very true about the rollback. Yeah. Mike says the other games would be cross-compatible, but revised MVC2 version would have difficulty communicating. Yeah. That's very true. Good point. Good point, gentlemen. I would rather have higher quality cabinets and pay more. The reality is, though, people sell the higher end cabs, Rec Room, etc. Arcade 1-Up is on the cheaper side of that. Nothing you can do. Well, yeah, I mean, and like, but you know, all the kits that you're going to get, like Rec Room Masters, they're very standardized, if you will. Whereas, you know, the Arcade 1-Up thing is you get the cab design and artwork, or at least the aesthetic and the artwork, and all that jazz. But yeah, I agree with the MVC2 thing. You guys are right. Like, MVC2 would probably not be cross-compatible. But if they did offer an upgrade, I mean, even if you had to pay $50 for an upgraded PCB, like, you already made the choice to buy that one, you know, and it's like, all right, I mean, $50 is like not really a big deal to me, but I think everybody feels differently about that, you know, where you're spending your money. So Matt Astro, what's up? It's just like, or at a discounted price, you know, $25, half off something if you have, you know, a receipt or whatever. But free would be great, of course. Still, the entire situation is mind-boggling to me. $50 after the initial investment would be a no-brainer. I mean, well, that's the cost of their PCBAs. Like, if you have to pay for one, that's what you're going to pay, plus shipping. So, like, I got a whole new Tron control deck, like the entire thing, for $70 shipped. So, I mean, like, their parts are not like that expensive if you're ordering replacements and you're out of warranty, you know, outside of a year or whatever it is. I don't know. Let's see. Mr. Keebler says I would pay $100 for an MVC2 because all the current PCB drive me back to playing online on my PS3 port. Yeah, I wish I would have gotten that. I only have it on emulator. Do you have a real pin or V pin? I don't have any of it. I would like to get one real pinball machine, but I just haven't found one yet. So the one alternative, Mike says, the one alternative would be to allow the original MVC2 to communicate on the cloud with the newer version of MVC2, but that would likely cause a whole different set of issues. Agreed. Yeah, I mean, that brings up an interesting point. Or could you turn off rollback for crossplay? Now, the other interesting thing is, without rollback on the newer hardware, the game would still run better. You would think, presumably. What went? So my Tron. So Eric says, what went wrong with your Tron? So my Tron, the spinner died in it. Okay. Originally, like 3 months after I got it, spinner died. As far as I know, nothing was done to it. Like, I'm gentle with it. I play it, but I'm gentle with it. Never had a problem with the joystick, even though it feels like it might break. Never had a problem with it. So anyways, Arcade 1-Up sent me a free replacement for the spinner the first time. About a month ago, the spinner breaks again. It's just not working right. And I hit him up, opened a ticket, and referenced my original ticket. And they were like, yeah, we're just going to have to charge you because you're out of warranty. And I'm like, no. So I tried to get it for free, but they wouldn't give it to me. So I just paid for it because they said they're going to send me an entirely new control deck. And they did. They sent me a completely brand new control deck, new stick, spinner, everything. You know, just like it came out of the box, and that fixed my problem. So yeah, but for $70, I felt like for $70 that was not a bad deal. I mean, it sucks that it broke, like that's trash, but it's not a bad deal. I mean, $70 is not a bad deal. So yeah, that's what happened to my Tron. Laysai. Anyways, how long have I been going for, you guys? Did I start at 9? Let me see. Where am I at? 65 minutes. That's not bad. I feel like I've talked about a lot so far. Let me see. So Goofyfoot says, so is there a new warranty on the control deck? That's a good question. I didn't ask, but I feel like at least like a 90-day thing would make sense, especially, you know, since I paid for it. But I didn't ask. That's a good question. Good question. You ordered a new... Hold on. You ordered a new Tron deck and didn't just upgrade to GRS products? God, no. Why would I do that? And I'm not going to pay $70 for a GRS spinner when I can just get the entire control deck for $70. That makes more sense to me. Plus, it's, you know, presumably under warranty. But yeah, no. I'm not gonna play that game. So yeah, you know, that was the deal with Tron, and now it's fixed. Thank goodness, because that's like one of my favorite games to play, and mainly because of the control sets. Anyways, I don't know. Like, everybody has their opinion, you know, about the whole arcade one-up conundrum and, you know, the quality of the products, this, that, and the other. And I get it. Like, you know, if you don't like the quality, like, that's totally fine. But, like, what else is there to say? I don't like the quality of it. Okay. What else is there to say? I mean, you can expect that most of their stuff is going to continue to be similar to that, you know, in quality. You can expect that most of their pricing is going to stay the same. And so it's like, at this point, if you haven't noticed that, it's like, what else is there to say? That's what I don't get. You know, people leaving the company, key players in the company, could go, you know, either way. But I don't think it's necessarily a good thing in this case, because of the licensing aspect of it, which I find very interesting. I'm very interested to see how that goes. But I just thought that this was going to be an interesting topic to hit, because it's been like a long time since I actually talked about 1UP and what that company is doing. And, you know, it's definitely not going to be, I don't think, a consistent thing for me. It's just interesting because I've been watching these reactions and I've been seeing, you know, how people talk about it. And it's just like, how are expectations not tempered? How do you not know, like, that this is the pattern of how they release things and what their prices are if you look historically at what they've been releasing since, you know, wave 3 and wave 4. And again, I mean, even with the shark fin models at $299, they have $299 models now, you know, which I call the peasant pricing. And that's not coming from me. Like, that's how I feel Arcade 1UP is looking at it. Like, for all these people bitching about the prices, let's just make a riserless version that doesn't have any of the extra goodies in it. All right. I mean, I don't know. Mr. Keebler says, I agree with you on expectations. I'm dumbfounded by the people who dislike the products yet follow them and comment on the socials for literally years. Need to find other products. Yeah, hope springs eternal, even with us grim bastards. Jade, do you still have either of your Fast and Furious, or did you sell them? My nephew played it in the arcade, and I might pick one up for him if it goes on sale this fall. Um, I returned the one, and then eventually I sold the other one, only because I needed to make space, and I also needed a little bit of extra cash flow for some projects. So, but I mean, like, in my honest opinion, like, I really enjoyed, and my kids loved it. Like, my kids loved it. They were pissed when I sold it. But at the same time, it's like one of those things, like kids, like, they play something, they love it, and then they go back to it, when they're not doing something else. So it's like with most arcade machines that I own. Like, I'm not like sitting there constantly playing them, but I do play them. They do get played, and my kids play them and stuff. It's just like I feel like there's like waves of what we're playing or enjoying, and there's always like the ones that are like staples, like Donkey Kong, Star Wars, Tron, and then like for me, the multicade. So, I mean, from the perspective of will a kid enjoy it, like 100%, your nephew would have a blast. I think, in my opinion, if he likes racing stuff, especially. If it does go on sale, I'll be surprised. But that would be cool. Like, especially if it's like $300. I see 400. I think if it does go on sale, I think it'll be like $399. Steve says, I think that nostalgia boom is coming to an end for arcades, unfortunately. Find yourself a friend with one-ups or real machines and help them keep them going. That's like a tough... I feel like it is too. And I feel like COVID had a lot to do with that coming back. I don't think it's like over, but I think that like the initial, it's like dating, like the honeymoon phase, the initial honeymoon phase of the rediscovery, through arcade one up, really, it like peaked, and now it's going to be like more of a, they got to figure out how to manage it moving forward. Right, it'll never be over, but the heat is off. Yo, Reese, what's up? How you doing, mate? Mr. Keebler, that's the best comment I have seen in a long time. So yeah, and yeah, I agree. It is a good comment. It's very true. It's very true. People love Fast and Furious Arcade. That game gets played in every new style arcade I go to. Yeah. But I sold my sit down also because I needed room, and yeah. And I needed money for like, so kids, in school, they have these like trips when they get older. And it was expensive, some of the trips. So anyways, but yeah, anyways, I ended up selling it. Like I said, my kids were like, oh, really? But then they were over it. It's like not a big deal. But yeah, I mean, I thought is really, really great game. Like, I loved it. I love the mechanics of it. It feels like, cruising, just spiced up, and I love that about it, because I think that those are probably like some of the most fun racing games. I think the only other racing games that I really fell in love with were 2 of the Need for Speeds. So, man, kids are expensive. Yeah, seriously. But the only other racing games that I really fell in love with that I can think of off the top of my head were 2 of the Need for Speeds, which was, this is like gonna rattle some cages, but Carbon, I really loved Carbon, and then Underground 2, which I think most people will agree on. So yeah, Virtua Racing is my other favorite. Yeah, Virtua Racing's really cool. I mean, Daytona, those are like classic arcade staples, Midlife Arcade says, I certainly think it depends on how often you actually play them. My arcade gets daily use. Kids discover or master the titles I was obsessed with. Yeah. And like mine does too. It's just, it's not like they're sitting there collecting dust. Like mine does too when I have time and when we're home and stuff. But, I've got like a pretty crazy schedule, and with school and everything lately, it's been wild. But yeah, for sure, like mine are being used, and I don't think it matters if they're being used or not, to be honest with you. I think if you just collect them and you want to do that, like who gives a shit? Like, gold jacket, green jacket. I just like, so if people want to collect them and just let them sit there and just turn them on and look at them, like, who cares? It's your money. Like, do what you want with it, Like, I'm not going to get mad if you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars on these things because you just want to stare at them, like, and it makes you happy. Cool. Right on. So yeah, Need for Speed Underground 2, yeah. I'm hopeful that they make Cruisin' and Area 51. Yeah, Area 51, like, I don't know, maybe, but Cruisin', Anyways, let's see. We got about 10 minutes left before we wrap things up around here. I appreciate y'all being here. Like, this is quite fun. Good conversation. Definitely different than any of my lives I've done in a while. So Carbon was great. See, I'm not the only one. I was talking more of the dry up the hype. Yeah, the dry up the hype. But I think that people also get sold on, look, this is just my observation, my personal observations, but I think people get sold in the 3/4 scale space on certain ideologies from certain content creators who preach these things, and it's like maybe lose sight of what they really want. Because I've heard people literally say, like, I regret selling my arcade 1-ups. And I'm like, that sucks, dude. I mean, I've sold a ton of arcade 1-ups, but I've also like refined my collection with what I feel is like important or valuable to me. So that's how it's been for me. And I'm still, doing the coin op thing too. I think though, like, so I put Marvel vs. Capcom 2, the one that I restored, I sold it to an arcade owner, and his arcade has like an FGC, like they just had a Street Fighter 6 tournament, and he had a bunch of PS5s lined up. So they have like Smash, Street Fighter 6, and then they of course have like all the actual arcade machines, okay? Like with CRTs, Street Fighter 3, all these other games. He's having a Street Fighter 3 tournament, I think, is coming up soon. So anyways, I ended up selling it to him, and I felt really good about it. I was like, dude, this is cool. Because like, as a homeowner, like, I'm not going to have a ton of space to keep collecting these things. Like, I may keep a few of the key ones that really, really matter to me, or that I see as like rare or whatever. But it was really cool to take something that used to be used in an arcade or a space like that was just busted, restore it, keep it for a while, and really enjoy it. And then to find an arcade owner operator and sell it to them, and like now it's there. I was just like, man, this is cool. Like, I kind of want to do more of this, because I feel like that is a good thing. Like, that's a really good way to keep them going as well, because his arcade is not like a bunch of beat up machines. It's like machines that he takes care of. He has like friends who work for him who maintain these, and him and his brother know how to do it. So it was, anyways, it was really cool. And I thought, like, man, this is like a really good way to still have coin ops coming in and out, and eventually you get a sale on them, or you sell them, to somebody who's looking for certain things, even if it's intermittent. Obviously, it's not something that you would rely on, but the whole point of it would just be you're taking something that was broken and then putting it back in an arcade. And to put a game like that back in an arcade that has a FGC was like just really, really cool. So, yeah. Yeah, the refinement and to maintain love and happiness. And that was the thing, like with a lot of the stuff, which is why I like really don't do much of that stuff anymore at all, is because I was literally losing the motivation to even, I mean, I wanted to like barf every time I looked at any of my arcade stuff. And I'm not even joking. Like, it was just like I was so disgusted with the way that people were behaving and treating each other that I was like, no. And Steve says, I'm seriously considering downsizing to 10, 12 games and just having them there as a special thing. It's probably better to just have them be there for special occasions. Also easier to maintain. I mean, I totally see why you would feel that way. And I think, if you feel that way, then do it. Do it. And try and sell the ones that you're selling. Try and sell them if you can. Find a place or, a person who is going to really appreciate it and take care of it. Ultimately, one day, they're probably just going to end up somewhere broken down and rotted away hundreds and thousands of years from now. But like now, you could sell it to somebody who's going to enjoy it. That was like really bleak. You could sell them to somebody who's going to appreciate them. Or if you're lucky enough, hit up like barcades and stuff and be like, hey, are you guys looking for any of these? Yeah, you'd be surprised. So no one should critique someone who passes their gaming items to others. It's a way to preserve. Yeah. Yeah. So I agree though. It's definitely like a preservationist thing. So it's hard because some of these games I will never see again. I don't play them that much though, and guests don't care. And I think ultimately, like, that's one of the things where, for me personally, a multicade comes in, like, that I built, because I know it's built the way I want it. It's got the games on it that I want it. And if I really want to play those games, which I rarely do, but if I really want to play them, I can, but it really, I think for me, like I've talked about this a million times, it just comes down to more control specifics or games that hold like a really, really, really high nostalgia value. Let's see, Broken Down and Rotted Away, an arcade biography. I like that. Toxin says, I felt that way about my iArcade for a while. Yeah, and I could see why. And yeah, so I think that when you're in a space and that's the way that you kind of are feeling because of like the things that are going on and that you're dealing with in a place where you're trying to have fun, like that's bad. So anyways, that's why I don't really like to cover a lot of that or cover a lot of this stuff and whatnot. But I thought this was a good occasion, and I'm glad that people showed up to talk about it with me. Zod Rider says, have you heard about some of these barcades that have one-ups in place of the real cabs? Yeah, I think that doesn't seem like ethical from a business point of view. I don't know. I mean, if they're just there and you're not charging for them, I feel like that's not a big deal. Like, it seems kind of like it doesn't make sense because they're not that heavy duty. But if they're just there and you're not charging for them and people can just play them, like, okay. But if you put like a coin, like real coin mechs on them or card sliders, then that's like, I don't think they were meant to do that. Um, yeah. But I mean, like, but my personal sentiment is if I walked into a place like that and saw that, I'd walk right out. Like, that's just my personal sentiment because I'd be like, no. And I'm not gonna play those. Like, I'm not gonna play those at a bar. Like, I feel like you would go like to a place like that to actually get the full experience and play the real thing if you're going to like an arcade bar. Um, so that's my opinion though. I would not want to play them. Uh, they'd probably break anyway. Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, they would, because like how many drunk guys can an arcade one up handle? Especially when they don't own them. They're gonna be like Mike Tysoning those things. Like they're a guy harassing him in an airplane. Two people order Coke, 86 Coke. They're not for commercial use. Yeah, they're not. They're not. Well, they're not licensed for commercial use. So I don't know what the legalities of that are, or that is. And I like, to be honest, I like honestly don't care. I just wouldn't play. Like, I don't care. To me, it doesn't seem ethical, especially if they're charging for them. But I wouldn't do that. That's my opinion, but I really don't care either. Like I said, I just walk in and walk out, turn around, be like, later. How many drunk guys does it take to break an arcade one up? Screw the light bulb. It's not ethical. Yeah, I don't think it is. Yeah. I don't know. That's crazy though that those places exist to me. And it's like, even if you were a bar, like, it would not be. I'm pretty sure it would be more expensive to buy 6 arcade 1-ups and put them in your bar than it would to buy like 2 or 3 actual good coin op games and put them in your bar. I don't know. I'm just doing the math. So, yeah, I mean, every arcade bar I've been to, it's just drunk people button smashing. There you go. Whoops. Arcade 1-up machines and microwave slider burgers. Oh my God. They're like, the cheese melts. Yeah, no. Okay, anyways, I gotta wrap it up. I love y'all. I hope you guys had a good weekend. Thank you for being here with me tonight, and listening to me rant and vent about this whole crazy thing with the 3/4 scale space. I appreciate you guys just having cool conversation with me. Very much appreciated, for real. Anyways, stay safe. Have a good week. All right. And watch out for all the crazies. Try not to be the crazies. And until next time, I'll see you guys then. Yeah.